It's utter insanity that I even have to be making this video. The comments I make here may prove to be controversial. It may upset some of you, it may alienate my audience. Indeed, you may hate me, mock me, ridicule me, but I believe that the truth needs to be said. And if it does not come out in the mouths of the government, or various rungs of society, I believe it is earnest seekers of truth, the great philosophers of the past, who will put forward their voices and stand in defense of truth, even when it is uncomfortable or difficult to hear. So I hope, if you are an earnest seeker of truth like me, you will listen to what I have to say, poke at the surface, question things that society has taken for granted, and together we shall delve into the dark side of one of the most accepted norms in our intellectual journey. I really want to urge you to understand the importance of division. I would say that in many ways it is the gateway into the higher mathematics. But the problem is, schools, they don't want to teach you or your child division. They want to teach you long division. And the problem with long division is that it's not really teaching you division. It's a long and tedious way, it's in the name. And so the thing is, when you do actual division at higher levels of mathematics, as I remember since pre-algebra, we used a calculator to perform the operation. And so just at the press of a button, the expression you inputted can be evaluated and you can get the result of your division. But in long division, what you're doing is you're writing a number down in a box, and then you're writing another number outside of the box, and then with some crisscrossy mumbo jumbo, not forgetting to carry the 1 and all that, then you get some sort of quote-unquote solution. But you see, the problem is, with the calculator, there's supposed to be some sort of, straightforward way to get to the answer. And maybe you could think of the situation like a bicycle. At first you put stabilizers or training wheels on them, and the idea is, after you get practice, then the training wheels come off, and then you can ride a bicycle just like that. The bicycle being division. But with long division, there's no connection, there's no connexation between the action of writing down little digits in a box and then pressing a button on a calculator to get this direct, straightforward way to an answer. There's no connexation whatsoever. And so it's really not like you're putting stabilizers on the bicycle, it's like you're putting stabilizers on your microwave. And so that makes no sense. And the next point I will make, and I won't put this as strongly, is that division is really quite elementary. At the high levels of mathematics, you don't need to worry about doing these little minute actions. You have all these different things to think about as you grow and learn and develop and refine your brain outside of the indoctrination of the school system. And there's mysteries to consider, the meaning of life, the unified equation to physics, which I have worked and made considerable progress on. But there's no need to be getting caught up in these minute details and overcomplicating it. Division is elementary, and calculators are there for that. But the other thing I should say is that it's really, if you look under the hood, it's not really division now, is it? Because what you're doing is, you write a number that you want to divide, let's say 637, inside this little box or bus or whatever you may call it. And then you write the number you want to divide it by, like 3 or 37 or something. Then what you're doing is you're looking at the 3 and you're seeing how many of the 3's goes into the 6 in 637. But the problem with that is, you're kind of like cramming it into the box. That's not what division is about. Division is about breaking boundaries, shattering things, taking things to pieces. And so it's really, if you think about it, a misleading hoax that teaches you something that isn't division whatsoever. And so I want to say this again, because you're trying to ask how many things go into the number in the box. And I'll give you a simple example. Just what about taking 1 divided by 1, if you're to follow this at its most basic level? You put the 1 inside your bus, and you put a 1 outside of the bus, and then you say how many 1's go into 1, and you put 1. But then you have 2 1's to be multiplied to get 1 on the right, and that's not a balanced equation now, is it? You'll understand if you know the higher mathematics. And so 1 times 1 being 1 is just a reductio ad absurdum right there. And so I really want to get to the crucial point, which is that long division here, if you're cramming things into a box, you're not thinking outside of the box. And that's really what all the great philosophers say, that you have to be able to like take your mind and you have to be able to make connections between these disparate ideas that are floating around. You're not supposed to be structuring things in this, very linear way like this, and this very contained way. And it's really not good if you want to educate and inspire young minds. No, I encourage all of my students at least, to think outside of the box and to look beyond what is merely contained within these structures, as it were. And so, there's one other point I would like to make, which is that there are people who are neurodivergent and who may not want to think in this linear way. And some people who express themselves on different spectrums, the autism spectrum and the gender spectrum, they may approach the way they have their lived experiences differently and not want to process it through this linear, structured way. And so I don't know the exact names for these different sexualities and neurological tendencies, but it's very important that people have the full freedom to be able to think outside of the box. And so I say with all the utmost effort and with all the utmost vigor that it is just wrong to enforce and to impose this long division malarkey on the people, on the children, on the community, when I know that the human mind is capable of so much more. So I say it emphatically: down with long division, down with long division,